So we are starting ethics series and we are going to cover the entire syllabus of civil service paper number 4. What is ethics? If we go into the definition, then it is the study of what is right or what is wrong in the human action. So when there is a human action or a conduct and you study the rightness or wrongness of that conduct, then you are talking about ethics. Now, ethics is a branch of philosophy which studies moral principles. Hence, ethics is also sometimes known as moral philosophy. For example, if we say John thinks that taking bribe is wrong. When offered a bribe, he refuses the same. And when you study this particular action of John, it means you are under the name of ethics, because that's the job of ethics, to study the rightness or wrongness of a human conduct, study the standards of the same. When you are writing an answer, then you can start with a question on ethics. You can also describe its origin, that it is originated from the Greek word ethos, and of course in the previous slide I have already explained that it studies the rightness or wrongness of the action. That what ethics is all about. And for exam preparation, you can also follow this thing, that you can some of the terminologies which are given in the syllabus, you can represent the same in a tabular form like this. It will help you in revising just before the exam, because these kind of terminologies appear very frequently in the examination, and when you have the definition on your tip along with an example, then you'll be able to save a lot of time in exam, because then you don't need to think in the exam, since all the definitions and the examples concerning these terminologies will be ready. Now, why to study ethics? Because we have seen that UPSC has introduced ethics as a paper, as a full-fledged paper of 250 marks in civil service examination, and even in Indian engineering service examination the same is given in the prelims exam. So we understand that UPSC thinks that ethics as a subject is very important. So why to study ethics? Number one is better understanding of morality. If you study ethics, you will be able to understand morality, because morality is nothing but the moral judgment of your actions. So it may be like rightness of your action or wrongness of your action. When we make this judgment, it means we are seeing your action from a moral standpoint. So that's the first thing. Second is it improves your thinking process, because when you study ethics, you are able to differentiate between good things and the bad things, and hence in the process your thinking process improves. Therefore it is again very important, and it is one of the objectives of studying ethics as well. And finally, when you study ethics, you become a more ethical citizen, and which helps you in making a more ethical society, and eventually more ethical country and more ethical world and the planet. Now these are the reasons for studying ethics. Number one was you can understand morality. Number two was your thinking process improves. Number three, you become an ethical citizen. Now, ethics and moral judgments. Now the basic difference is ethics studies the norms of what is right or wrong. So when we study the norms, or you can say the standards of what is right or what is wrong, then it means you're talking about ethics. But in moral judgments, instead of the norms, we evaluate the action. For example, an action is performed, and then you evaluate that action in the light of whether the action was good or whether the action was bad. In this situation, you're making a moral judgment. For example, Ram says that dowry is a social evil. Now here he's making a social judgment of an action, that is dowry, taking dowry or taking bribe. Now these are actions. When you see these actions from a moral standpoint and you make a judgment whether an action is good or bad, whether an action is positive or negative, then it means you're making a moral judgment. But when you study the norms, or for example in this case when Ram studies the norms of parameters, to label something, in this case dowry, as right or wrong, it means he is talking about ethics. So ethics are related to the norms or standards, and moral judgments are about evaluations of your action.